Finland has no street food. Finnish food is boring. At least that's what I used to think up until recently. On my last trip to Finland, I realized that yes, indeed, there is street food there, and it's one of my favorites. I have grown up eating Karjalanpiirakka since I was a little girl. My grandmother used to make them, my mom made them, but they always looked a little too complicated and I was afraid to ever try making them. But today, I am making them for the first time and I'm making the vegan version. There's 2 steps to making Karjalanpiirakka, and the first is making a rice porridge. So basically, if you think of rice pudding but a savory version, that's what I'm doing. And you want to have it cool, so I'm making it the day before and I'll let it sit in the fridge until I'm ready to put it all together. But rice porridge is super simple to make, except that you have to really keep an eye on it so that the milk doesn't boil over. I'm just checking out my garlic that I just harvested a few weeks back from my garden, and I was taking this moment with the rice porridge on low simmering to put them out for one more day to air out, because I was just reading up on how I was supposed to store garlic, and one of the things said just really make sure that they're very dry. So I was a little bit paranoid that they weren't dry enough, so I wanted to air them out for one more day just to be sure. So I've come back to the rice porridge, and this looks about right because when it cools down it's going to thicken also. But I'm serious when I say don't leave it alone except on a very low simmer for any length of time, because it'll bubble right over. And of course, there's always mistakes to be made. I forgot to add salt, and since this is a very few ingredient dish, you cannot leave out the salt. You need that for the flavor. So I'm putting it back in the pot to stir it up again, adding the salt in, and then we'll just put it in the fridge until we're ready to make the dough. Rice porridge is basically short grain rice of some kind. Your choice of milk. I used here soy milk and then a little bit of salt. So this is the next day. I'm going to get all the ingredients together to make the dough. And the main ingredient in this is rye flour. The recipe that I'm using is from the Saima Life website, which I will link in the description. And I'm following that basically to the T because this is my first time making these. I was just able to buy some rye flour from my local grocery store, and you just have a little bit of all-purpose flour mixed in with it, and basically salt and water, and that's it. Karjalanpiirakka are from the area of Finland called Karjala, and actually that's where my grandfather is from. But it's an area of Finland that has been split between Finland and Russia, and where my grandfather was born is now part of Russia. These Karjalanpiirakat can be made with potatoes too, and that was actually the original version because they did not have rice in the area in the early years when these were being made. But the rice versions seem to be a favorite in my family anyways. But I have tried the potato ones, and I think I'll try those maybe another time. This is the part I was most nervous about. So I'm trying to figure out how to get 16 even slices of this rye dough. As I was making these, I later on was watching some more really authentic old Finnish videos of women making these, and I realized a lot of things that I could have done a bit differently, which made it easier. And as I was making these, I did, start changing my method quite quickly. I read also to make them about 6 centimeters long, so I had to get the ruler out because I want to try to make them just right. I realized right away that the more flour the better, and I'm using the all-purpose flour here on the table and on the rolling pin instead of rye flour, and I'm wondering if I should use just rye flour next time. The other thing I soon realized is that I didn't need to make them oval. I could just make rounds because it doesn't matter when you're shaping them in the end, but here I thought I had to make these oval shapes to get the look that I wanted. Now for the hard part, so I had to go online to watch some people actually putting them together, because this is for me the intimidating part. Rye is so popular in Finland because it's one of these hardy grains that grows in that harsh climate. It's a flour that is able to be stored without it going bad a lot easier than other grains. So rye is a staple. It's what their most famous bread is made out of, which is a rye bread it's like a sourdough bread but made out of a rye, and it's very dense and chewy and super delicious. I'll have to try to tackle that one day too. This is the famous shape of the Karjalanpiirakka, and I realized also while I made these that the thinner that I put the rice porridge inside there, the better the shape will be. And then also afterwards, when I was watching more videos, I realized that using a wet spoon, having a cup with water and having my spoon sitting in there would make it a lot easier to smooth out the rice porridge. And if I didn't fill them so much, they would have become a bit crispier when I baked them. It's amazing that such a simple food with so few ingredients is such a big staple and such a loved item in Finland. So now they're going to bake in the oven for only about max 15 minutes on very high temperature. So I thought I would take this time to make the egg butter, or munavoi, that it's usually eaten with. I decided to try to mimic the egg using soft tofu. I was watching Jenny Mustard, she's another YouTube content creator, and she was having soft tofu with a bit of black salt, kalamanak, and I tried it, and it tasted like I was eating hard-boiled eggs. So I thought, I'm going to try this to make the munavoi, or the egg butter. What happened was that instead of softened butter, I had vegan butter. I overheated it, and it was melted butter. Next time, for sure, I'm just going to have softened butter, not let it get to that liquid point. And then you mix it in with the tofu. And then just to give it a little bit of color, I added turmeric to it. The black salt gives it that eggy taste. And then I also added a little tiny bit of white pepper to it. I couldn't believe how much it looked like mashed eggs, and I couldn't believe how much it tasted like mashed eggs. I mean, look at that. Does that not look like eggs to you? I mean, to look like it is one thing. I know it has to taste like it, but I can guarantee you, when I put it together there, it tasted like eggs. Next time, I want to make them crispier than I made them this time. So I'm going to do the method that I saw, and I'm going to make the rice porridge thinner in there. And then that should do the trick. Now, everybody that I saw making these, including the recipe on Saima Life, they always butter the Karjalanpiirakka after it comes out of the oven. That's kind of counterintuitive because usually you do that before you bake something, but not in this case. Now I want to let them cool. So I saw people buying these at little kiosks and eating them on the go. But of course they ate them just the way they are here. They didn't add the egg butter to them. If you ordered them in a restaurant or in a coffee shop, this is how you would get it, with some egg butter on top. These little guys are served at Christmas, special occasions. I would be so happy when my mom or mumma, my grandmother, would make these. But now you can just buy them at the grocery store when you go to Finland, which is crazy to me. If you're ever intimidated about making something, give it a try. It may end up being like this, easier than you thought. I'm so happy I made these. I'm definitely going to do it again. I have a few more tricks that will make it even easier and make them even tastier, just like I remember them. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.